question is, does a UK disabled badge work in Florida? You have to hire the electric ones inside one of the parks. So these are the prices. I'm going to explain how you get on a ride at Universal with a wheelchair. Overall, our experience with having someone in our party in a wheelchair. So welcome to today's vlog. We have just got to Universal Studios today, and today's vlog is going to be focused on wheelchair access and also disability access for Universal Studios as of April 2024. So obviously if you're watching this months and months down the line, it could have changed by then. So when you get to the parking, question is, does a UK disabled badge work in Florida? And the answer is yes, it does. That's because Florida is the #1 tourist destination in the world. So yes, in Florida, UK disabled passes do work. So when you get here, you show them your disabled blue badge, and you then obviously have to pay. So it isn't free parking, you still have to pay. So you get put in a special area for disability parking, so you are basically right next to the security, so you haven't got far to go. So after you've paid, they will then put a blue ticket underneath your windscreen wiper, which I will show in a minute, and you have to put on, they will ask you to put on your hazards. That's because we think the hazard is so that you stick out of all these cars that you will be parking in a different area. So it's for the staff to see the hazards, a car with hazards on. They will see the blue paper on your windscreen, and then they will direct you as to where you are going. So there's a blue ticket on the windscreen, and then you just follow the signs for the disabled blue icon. So that's a blue badge that they put on your windscreen. Just remember that because you have to put your hazards on, just remember to turn them off, because every time we've come to the disabled parking area, there's been cars that have left the hazards on and they've gone to the park. So yeah, just remember to turn them off. So I want to make this video because prior to us coming out here, my mum had an operation on her foot, so she can't walk on it. And so we've had to bring a wheelchair to Florida with us. And so we did some research as to how rides work, and you know, does a UK disability badge work over here? And to be honest, we really struggled with to find the information online, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
It wasn't a great deal of information online.
No.
So we want to make this video to show you firsthand of how it works, what does work over here. In the disabled parking area, there are wheelchairs issued by the park of the parking area.
Those wheelchairs are just to get you to the park entrance though, because that's when you'd have to hire your own wheelchair or hire an electric scooter.
Yeah, so they're like basically temporary ones for if you haven't got your own wheelchair, basically just to get you through security and to City Walk basically. Because then you either can only hire a wheelchair from City Walk, or if you go inside one of the parks, that is where you can hire the electric mobility scooters, which I'm going to show you exactly where they are and what the prices are. When you get to security, you've got the symbol with the wheelchair and prams. It says wheelchairs and double strollers across certain screens. So you just look to see which one has that symbol, and that's one you go to. So when you come to City Walk, you can hire a wheelchair from here, it's down there. However, they aren't the electric ones. So like the sign says, you have to hire the electric ones inside one of the parks. We've just got to Universal Island of Adventure, and when you come through the ticket gates there, you go around to your left and all your rentals are here. So now I'm going to go up to the board and show you the prices as of May 2024. I know I said April at the beginning of the video, but I forgot that it's beginning of May now. So these are the prices. That's as far as that's as close as I can get to it, but if you can't read it, it's the electric mobility scooters are $75 and strollers are $40. Wheelchairs are $15, and that is for the whole day. You can hire them with a canopy, and I think it's an extra $15 on top, so that makes it $90. One of the reasons why we also wanted to make this video was when we was looking online for the answers, it wasn't the answer that we were looking for. And also what we did find online, the answers were very outdated and were years old. When we ran online, mobility hire The answer we found was it was $50 and you had to pay a $40 deposit.
Yeah.
So when you took your mobility scooter back at the end of the day, you got that $40 back, and so it cost you $50. Well, when we got here, my mum hired an electric one, and as you've seen from the prices, that's completely wrong, and that was the only answer that we could find online. So as of May 2024, an electric mobility scooter is $75. There is no deposit involved, so you just pay $75 flat fee and you've got that for the day. So the electric mobility scooters, there's one in front of me that someone's got, you can use them in both parks, and then at the end of the day you just take it back to either one of the parks. So where you rented it from, you just take it back. So we got to the Hawk. I'm just going to explain how you get on a ride at Universal with a wheelchair. I'm only going to explain it on the Hawk because it's pretty much standard for all the rides here. When you come to Universal and you're in a wheelchair, if you're in your own wheelchair, then you can get on the ride in your own wheelchair. However, if you are in an electric wheelchair, then you need to come to the ride entrance and ask the staff member that's on the front, and then they've got wheelchairs, the red wheelchairs just tucked in there, and then you swap your electric wheelchair for a normal wheelchair to get on the ride. So you have to park your electric mobility scooter over in the stroller bit. So each ride has a stroller parking. You need to park it in there, and then you need to get a red wheelchair from a staff member at the entrance to the ride. So over the Hawk, this is where you park your electric wheelchair. So at every ride at Universal, you queue in the same queue as everybody else until you get to a ride that has some stairs. And if it has stairs, at that point there will be a lift, there will be a member of staff at the lift, and they will take you out of the queue, they will put you in the lift, and then that takes you up to the station where you get on the ride. So for the Hawk, you are in the normal queue from start to finish until you get to the ride because it is all ramp. So when we get to Velocicoaster, you queue in the same line as everybody else, but then when you get to the locker station, a member of staff will tell you to go to the lift. You then get in the lift in your wheelchair, and it takes you up to the station where there are lockers for wheelchair users. There will be a member of staff there, and they will put your stuff in a locker for you, and then they will do the metal detection for you at that point. I unfortunately can't record any of the wheelchair process for you, because if you've never been to Universal, then you wouldn't know that you have to put, for nearly all the rides, you have to put all your items in a locker before you go on the ride. So I can't take my camera with me, so that's why I'm talking it through with you as to what happens when you get on a ride here at Universal in a wheelchair. I also want to explain that you can go in your own wheelchair. So my mum's got her own wheelchair, and you don't have to swap it for one of theirs. Those ones over there are just for if you've got an electric mobility scooter. So you cannot go on any ride at Universal in an electric mobility scooter. You have to swap it at the entrance for one of theirs, for one of their normal wheelchairs. I also want to explain that when you get to the ride and you're about to get on it, that if you're in a wheelchair, you can get wheeled right up to the ride. The only exception for you getting on any ride at Universal, I believe, is that you have to get out of your wheelchair yourself and then step and sit in the seat for the ride that you're going on. So you can get wheeled right up to it, right up to the seat, but you just got to get yourself out of it and into the ride seat. And then the staff members take your wheelchair and wheel it round to wherever you get off on each of the rides. So we've never come off a ride and my mum's wheelchair hasn't been where it's supposed to be, where we've got off. It's always been there. So just getting to the other part now, Universal Studios, and I want to show you where you can drop off your wheelchair and your stroller if you hire one. It's just in this corner just before you exit the park. And this is a close up as to what the electric mobility scooters look like. So we've been looking at the prices for the electric wheelchairs and the canopy. I said it was $90 earlier. I thought it was $90. It's not, it's actually $95 for an electric mobility scooter with a canopy. And then it's $75 for an electric scooter without a canopy.
So we just got back to our condo after a day at Universal. Hopefully found the information on disability access useful.
If you do have a question on wheelchair access and disability access for Universal, then drop us a comment below. In the future, we can always do a Q&A video on answering your questions about it. Overall, our experience with having someone in our party in a wheelchair going to Universal, the staff are absolutely incredible. Like, we haven't had one issue with anybody or anything. Nothing is too much trouble for them. They actually go above and beyond to help you. The staff are flawless to who we've come into contact with. Just to note that if you do go to SeaWorld, they do have a different system to Universal. Universal, you don't need anything to say that you're in a wheelchair and that you need access for the lift. However, when we went to SeaWorld, no member of staff told us that we needed one.
So when we went to SeaWorld, it wasn't a problem at first getting on rides until went to go on a couple of rides and some of the operators questioned why we didn't have this little bit of paper that...
But there was a bit arsey about it. We weren't impressed with them at all.
No, and rather than explaining what we were supposed to do,
they basically had to go at us for not having it and complained about the staff members who had let us on rides all day long, on all different rides, how basically they weren't doing their job.
And that he was more interested in reporting those than trying to help us get the bit of paper that we needed. But so if you are going to go to SeaWorld or Busch Gardens, it's worth calling at guest relations first, letting them know that you're there with a wheelchair, give you any information that you might find useful for your visit to the park.
But then when we went to Busch Gardens, after going to SeaWorld first, because SeaWorld and Busch Gardens are owned by the same people, we went to guest relations first at Busch Gardens and says, like, we've got somebody in our party with a wheelchair, can we have the sheet of paper, which I filmed in the Busch Gardens vlog, and I explained the wheelchair process in the vlog. So if you haven't watched that, that's worth to check out, because I do explain it in there how their wheelchair access works. So we hope you found this video useful, and thank you so much for watching. If you do have a question about anything, please leave us a comment below, and in the future we are planning to do a Q&A on anything, any topic. And don't forget that you can rent our holiday home. All of the booking links are in the description right below, and we will see you in the next vlog. Bye.
Bye.